Good morning, garden friends. Today I'm going to be working in the garden around the courtyard. This is going to be messy because we have this pollen. It's just covering everything. But I want to start getting these beds filled. As I stated, we got the rocks moved out. I've decided to go ahead and remove the uh, weed cloth because one of the things that I ended up learning in the Master Gardener class, because we have had this gravel in these beds for almost 8 years, what that ends up doing is compacting the clay soil, and it does not allow for good drainage, air circulation, and then for the opportunity for the plant's roots to take. So I'm going to take out the cloth, and then I'm going to take my auger and just agitate the soil, probably about a good 2 inches, because that was one of the things that we learned in the Master Gardener class, that compacting, if you really want to increase the air circulation and allow the nutrients to come through, you got to go at least down 2 feet, not inches. So that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to be adding some topsoil and compost mixture in here because we do need to raise the level of the bed based off of the amount of gravel that we had in here. So let me first go ahead and get the weed cloth moved off. I'm going to till up this area because the one thing I want to do, this here is my drift rows that I want to be able to put here in this bed. And then I got some Kiss Me Over the Garden Gate, some lavender, some hyssop. I'll show you the other plants that I'm going to be putting in this bed. And then two, to be able to get the other side prepared because my two heirloom roses will be here on Wednesday. So I want to be able to have that area prepared so when they come, I can get them directly in the ground. All right, so let's get started on getting this area cleaned up. Let me go ahead and get my utility knife so I can go ahead and get this cut out. I also forgot, I did end up getting one of the mats from Garden Answer. I'm gonna be using today since I gotta be kneeling in the gravel. I got the large so that I have more coverage, for kneeling, because my other little kneeler doesn't always work out. Okay, so and I got it in the blue, so I'm really excited to see how well it does over in this rock area. So let me go ahead and get the weed cloth dug out. Let's see here. Put it over there. Get gloves on. Boy, my little dapple is looking amazing. That's why I can't wait to get this bed filled in because the leaves on here will get like what is that, tricolored of the white and the pinks, and it'll look nice because I do have a lot of white pinks, and I do think a little bit some yellows in here. Oh wow, that's like really good on your knees. This seems to be a whole lot easier than I thought. Hold on, let me see if I can just pull this. All right, I think that's it. Huh, that was easier than I thought. Now, I do want to get gravel out of here. As I stated, we have been putting it in other areas in the garden where the rocks have settled. And then all I have to do is just go ahead and clean them off. Oh, there's the wheelbarrow. Now I do see one of the termite traps in the bed that we had with another company. They must not have gotten them all out because the rest of them are on the outskirts of the garden bed. Now I know I'm not going to get them all, but I want to get as much as I possibly can. This soil is compacted, and definitely need to agitate it, get the topsoil and compost manure in here. That's what they look like. All right, so let me go ahead and get the soil, agitate it, and then that way I can get the mixture in here. Oh, I gotta be careful because I am seeing some of the root from the dapple. Like I said, not going to go too deep because of the roots of the dapple. But I'm going to go ahead and get this topsoil in here, get it mixed up, and then I'm going to trim my roses so that I can go ahead and get these guys in the ground. Now, I'm not getting close to the wall because we have our French drain system that allows the water to run out of the beds, and then we have a bigger drain that it runs down the hill, goes into that one, and then goes into the big basin that's between our property and the neighbors. And then I'll get some compost, get that mixed in here, and then start planting the other plants that I'm going to be placing in here. And the one good thing about the drift, I like the fact it gets maybe about this tall, and has a spreading habit. But I keep it nice and trimmed so it doesn't get like crazy looking, but still have like a natural feel to it. And then, being able to put like some of my taller plants. I'm gonna definitely get some annuals to put back here so I have that continuous color back here, and then get this bed filled because I did put my Easy Spirit. I did plant it already, and then get some plants planted around here. Now I know I was gonna do like for my cut flowers, but sad to say, none of my seeds, my cosmos, my zinnias, bachelor buttons that I end up being really successful with did anything, you know, so that's a little disappointing. I do have two phlox that I'm going to put in here. There are more in the family of the woodland, not the ground cover phlox, that I'm gonna be putting in here. And I think it's gonna end up looking really pretty. All right, let me go ahead and get the compost in here, and then I'll trim my knockout rose, get that guy in here, and get the rest of the plants done and move on to the next section. All right, guys, my grandchildren are here and they're screamers. So I stopped recording while I was planting these guys. So let me share with you what I'm going to be putting in this bed, but I'm going to also be putting some additional annuals in here. Those are my gumfrena, the two there that I grew from seed that are going to be in this bed, and I think that's going to look really pretty in that hot pink that the color is. I got some lavender, I got some bee balm, and that's the shorter version of the bee balm because that'll get like 1 to 2 inches tall. And then this right here is my Kiss Me Over the Gate. I thinned some of this out this fall with the thought process of being able to put this back here. Now this here will get about 3 feet tall, and I think that'll be a really pretty backdrop. And then that is a new version of hyssop. So, like I said, and then I did trim and thin out my rose bush here. I'm going to be putting some more perennials and annuals, more annuals in here to give me some additional color. And I did plant the phlox. I flanked it on both sides of this bed. And then this is my Easy Spirit rose that I got from Heirloom. And then I started and got this side mixed with the topsoil and compost and manure on it. So plants the other drift rose in here, and then start on getting that bed prepared. And like I said, the only reason why I'm not recording every step that I'm doing is because I said my grandkids are here and I just heard them come out the door. All right, guys, in my haste was getting things planted, and with the grandkids here, just a little confusion and chaos. So let me turn the camera around, show you what I've gotten done that didn't get recorded, but I do have this other section that I'll be able to show you what I'm doing. Okay, so let me turn the camera around. Okay, so what I ended up doing was, because the tree for my dapple willow, the roots had sprawled out a lot. What I ended up doing was I added some annuals, additional annuals, which are the snapdragons. It's not candytuft, but it's in the family of candytuft. I'll put the name of the white flowers, and then let me go around here to show you. Then I have them over here so I can tell you the name of them. These white flowers are called phlox snowflakes that I'm lining up the bed with. But thought because of the root system of my dapple willow, it would be better for me to have more annuals in here than perennials. So the only thing that is a perennial in here is the lavender, the bee balm, um, the hyssop, that's right back there, and my kiss me over the garden gate. And then also the snowflakes, those guys are. But they're far enough away from the dapple because the dapple also is greedy when it comes to grabbing nutrition. But, oh, and then I planted some proven winners. I think these are called, hold on, let me get the tag, because I also did this bed. Um, they are the Super Tunia Royal Magenta that I also put in the bed. But then I got this bed also done. Did the snapdragons on the side. Those are called, hold on, what is that one called? Oh, I got an extra one. I'll put the name of it up. And then that was my phlox. And then I got these here. I'll put those names up of those. So this is what I ended up getting done, and not on camera, but I pretty much mimicked this side. So with the same plants. So I'm gonna get those put in. And then we got our mulch. And then I'm going to do, I got my roses from Heirloom. I did plant the bobo. I'm gonna put a heirloom there, rose there, and on that side. But then I got the candytuft that I'm gonna be lining the bed up with. And I think that is all that I'm gonna be getting done today. I have some lavender, but I think once I get the roses in, that'll determine where I end up putting that, along with these little ones that I got. These are, I know what these are. These are ballerina lilac, sea thrift, which are also a perennial. So that's what I'm gonna end up doing today. And oh yeah, these are called, because I have one extra one. These are called Bubblegum Blast. Hold on, that's kind of faded out. Sugar Buzz Bubblegum that I have in here. And the thought process with this bed, I did want it to be my cut flower bed, but none of my seeds end up taken. So, you know, with gardening, it's all about improvising. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these planted, get my roses over there, get the beds mulched and watered, and then the flowers for the courtyard will be done. Now, because this rose bush here is a little bit bigger, I'm not going to worry about it. Now, we still got some rocks in here. Like I said, I wasn't going to be able to get them all out. All right, so that's done. I'm gonna go ahead and get this bed mulched and then watered, and then start on that side and get my heirloom roses planted along with the candytuft, and then seeing where I can work in some of these other plants I have. All right, this bed is done and watered, and this is looking really good. So now I'm gonna go and start over there, get the heirloom roses planted, and then my candy tuft tied, plant it, and then see if there's anything else that I can sort of like weave in there, because you figure the bobos will get 3 to 4 inches tall and wide. Pretty much the same thing for the roses, but I got enough space in between them. So let me go ahead and get over here and get the roses planted. Okay, so here are my heirloom roses that got delivered yesterday that I'm going to be able to put here in this bed. And you know, the one thing that as far as learning from the master gardeners is not only picking the right plant, but also the right location. Now, this area of the bed gets about, 3 to 4 hours of sun in the summertime. And that'll be good for these guys to do well, because I've had other roses over here and my bobos that end up doing well. So I'm not concerned about that. This one here that I'm going to plant here is called Magnificent Perfume. Okay, hold on. Let me do this. Oh, I don't have my scissors. So, and I'll put the color and what it'll look like when I do the walkthrough. Because what I want to do is go ahead and get these guys planted, get the beds mulched, get the area cleaned up, because like we're still working on the courtyard, but I'll get it blown off so you guys can see my vision of, how I saw this being, aside from, all the other supplies that are in the yard. Now, the one thing that they say is for the first year, you do not put granulars in the roses. Now, I don't know if it's because of being in the pots, because I did have one that I put in the pots, but I'm just going to stick with that and not use any granulars for these guys, and just use my fish emollient fertilizer, which is liquid. So let me get my scissors, because I got to get the zip tie off of here, get this put over here. So, and then when I go to plant the other one, I'll show you what that one is. Now what I want to do is I'm going to get the rose bush planted first, and then put my candy tuft, get that all lined up, and then, like I said, some other plants that I got, go ahead and work them in here. Now, while I got, soil and compost in here, this bed, after pulling off the wheat cloth, I'm still working in the clay, to plant this in. That's my other glove. That never happened. I swear to God. Okay, so that's in there. Let me go ahead and start lining up the candytuft. Okay, so I think I'm going to, I got 2 snapdragons left. I think I'm going to put one in the center right here. I mean, for the simple fact that the snapdragons aren't going to get that big. They're not going to impede the rose bush or the bobo. So I'm going to go ahead and put it like right here in the center. Oh wow, look at these roots. They came out of the container. These guys will definitely need watered. Okay, so this side is done. I don't think I want to put anything else in here because I want to be able to see how the roses and the bobos end up growing here before I make that decision of adding something else. So let's go on over to the other side. My second rose is called Pretty Lady Rose. And like I said, I'll put a photo of each of the roses so you know what they look like. Oh, I think I hear my soil 3 is being delivered for my vegetable garden beds. So we're going to be getting those guys filled up. Now this side I have, yeah, because that side's a little bit longer. This side I only have 4 of the candytufts. All right, let me get this snapdragon planted in between here. All right, everything is planted. Let me go ahead and water, get it mulched, and then we'll do a complete walk around of the garden area around my romantic courtyard. All right, garden friends, it is time to show you what the garden beds around the courtyard look. I am really happy with how it turned out. This is truly an experiment, you know, because as I learned in the Master Gardener class, right plant, right location. And there were some challenges that I ended up having to deal with, but I think I made the right choices. So let me turn the camera around so you can see how nice this looks. Okay, so I ended up planting some thyme along with some daylilies that have, like, I believe, a pink color to it. And as you will see, you know, pinks, whites, yellows are sort of my theme in this garden. I also lined the bed up with the candytuft, and then this is a summer version, because as you can see, the buds have not quite yet opened up like my other ones that are in the outskirts of the garden. That is my bobo that I ended up propagating a cutting to add some color. I got some snapdragons. Now, snapdragons are supposed to be annuals for us, but I seem to be able to keep these guys growing. This here is my new rose from Heirloom called Pretty Lady, and I'll show the color of the rose there. And then, of course, guys, my beautiful cascade tiered planter. I think this is just the perfect location for it. And I cannot wait until the roses and the hydrangeas, you know, get to the size that it's supposed to. But then on this side is my other rose, which is Madame Anastad. Got some more of the snapdragons, and then, like I said, I continued with the candytuft, and then that's the other bobo. This here is my mini rose, and like I told you guys, red I usually don't have in my garden, but these guys are just so gorgeous. And then look at this. I so love this view with my dapple willow. And look at this. The coloring in this, that tricolor, I so love it. The white, the green, and the pink. And this guy has grown in the year that it has been here. Okay, so down here is where I ran into some challenges because the roots for the willow dapple extended out some distance. So what I ended up doing was close to it, I focused on annuals. Like in that back corner there, that one, and this one here is my Gumfrina that I grew from seed. This here is a bee balm. I'll tell you the name of it because it's a unique name, and it is actually like a magenta color. And part of the reason why I pulled in the Proven Winters magenta petunias. Got my lavender here in the back. That is hyssop. And then in the far, far back corner, I have my Kiss Me Over the Garden Gate. And I thought, because that will get about 3 feet tall, to have that in the corner would look so nice. And then along with my drift rose. This here is a jasmine. That's like a ground cover. And my goal, because I have two, my hope is to train them to connect here. And I think that'll look really nice. And then I'm really happy with us putting the extra raised garden bed that we have here. And as I stated, I put in the Proven Winners. These guys are called Supertunia Royal Magenta. This here is 21st Century Phlox. It's a new version. Bee balm there along with some snapdragons. These are my thrift plants. These guys are perennials, so and early spring. perennials, and I did them on both sides and pretty much mimicked the same plants that I have on the other side. And look at those 21st century phlox. Now they do get tall. They're not a ground cover. I think that's just because they're so relatively new. And then guys, look at my Easy Spirit rose. It is just so pretty, and I got tons of buds on here. So this is going to look absolutely gorgeous, and it'll get about 3 feet tall, 3 feet wide, you know, so that'll give me some room to make adjustments in this bed, because this bed was originally going to be my cut flower bed, but because none other than my Gumfrina and one of my Hydrangeas end up pulling through. And then, like I said, pretty much mimicked it on the same side with the snapdragons, the Gumfrina. This is what this bee balm is called. It is called Eastern Bee Balm. Isn't that pretty? And I think with the colors that I have in the garden, it is definitely going to be a nice compliment. And like I said, this is this is me experimenting, you know, with the plants that I am putting in here this first season. And I so love the look of it, to have this around the courtyard. Now, we still have to get the patio power washed and restained. The other thing that I'm thinking about doing is I have these 3 hooks that line the poles up that I'm gonna do some hanging baskets. And I think I'm gonna focus on the Supertunia magenta, and then get some of the potato vine that's in that chartreuse color. I think that'll end up adding nicely to it. And then guys, you'll be really proud of me, because Kevin had asked me if he wanted me to build a table, like a 6-foot table with 2 benches, you know, since we entertain so much. And I turned him down for the simple fact that, you know, when our grandchildren are here, they like chilling out here. You know, we get in the hot tub after we've, you know, cooled the temperature down in the summertime, that they like playing in, and then being able to, you know, come out here and just chill. So I am really, really happy with how this turned out. And I also want to thank all of you that had given me recommendations for plants. Oh, because let me show you this. Don't worry about that's my mulberry. One of the things that I'm doing is to have my jasmina, which is doing really well, and it's starting to climb. But I want Kevin to go ahead and put me some eye hooks and some wire, so I can start getting it trained up here, because that's going to look gorgeous. And I have that on both sides of the pillars that end up facing the entranceway. All right, guys, I am so glad that I was able to share with you the transformation of our garden area around the courtyard. Did not realize, you know, number one, the damage that the gravel did to my soil, but I just so love the soft texture that by making these beds and utilizing mulch, how it gives that feel that I'm looking for. Now, mind you, we still got some other things that we're going to be doing to finalize the completion of this project, and we will keep you posted. And like I said, once again, to those that provided suggestions, Maddie, Joellen, Joanne, Keisha. I mean, Kevin was the one that recommended that I use the fourth raised garden bed for my cut flowers. He says it just makes it so much easier for me to get to next season. Because then I'll have my other project that we're working on completed. Well, thank you again for visiting Inspiring Garden Corner. And guys, I actually did a little video of what it looks like at night. So I hope you enjoy it and you see why I wanted to do this for our courtyard. Look forward to you checking out my next video.